Hey everybody, so today I'll be demoing how to deploy and use a managed app that stores blob storage digest backed by Azure Confidential Ledger. We'll first get started by creating the managed application and filling out the necessary fields. Once the managed application has been deployed successfully, here are the resources that will be created. We can now connect our managed app with our storage account to start collecting blob digest. We'll first copy the managed resource group name and then head over to our storage account. There are two steps that need to be completed in order to connect this managed app with the storage account successfully. One being creating an event subscription, and the other adding some access rules. For the event subscription, we'll head over to the events blade and click on event subscription. Here we can enter any subscription name that we would like, and then filter events on blobs being created. For endpoint type, we'll select service bus queue and connect this to our service bus queue that has been deployed from the managed app. This is a sessions enabled queue to maintain ordering, so we add a session ID in the delivery properties. Once the event subscription has been completed, we can now add the access controls. Head over to the access control blade and be sure to add the blob storage owner role to the Azure function that has been created by the managed app. Now we're ready to start adding blobs and start generating digests. To start creating digests, you can now go to your containers and use a new or existing container and start adding blobs to it. These blobs are now being tracked and will be added to our internal transaction and block tables. To ensure the validity of your data, you can run an audit at any time. The audit will recalculate every single hash that's been created from a blob event, and it will then compare these hashes and digests with the ones stored in Azure Confidential Ledger. There are a few ways that an audit can be triggered. One way being directly sending a message to the service bus queue that's been created with your managed app. You can head over to the service bus queue and click Send Message and paste a body with the event type being Perform Audit and your storage account and the blob container. You will also need to add a session ID. Once the audit trigger has been sent, you'll be able to see a container called audit records. If we view the contents of the latest file in that container, we'll be able to see the results of the audit. We'll be able to see when the audit was valid from and until, and also the blocks of the audit and if they have been tampered with or not. Here we'll see that we can compare the hash that was stored in ACL with the recalculated and recomputed hash that the audit performs and compares with. In this case, all of the blobs and all of the digests are not tampered with. An error logs container will also be created that holds errors and warnings that the managed app has come across when performing an audit or when processing blobs. You can view these at any time to understand why something may have gone wrong. Behind the scenes, you'll notice that in our internal storage accounts, a transaction and block table are created. The transaction table will contain each blob transaction as well as a unique hash for that transaction. The block table will contain a hashed digest of multiple transactions as well as the transaction ID that has been stored into Azure Confidential Ledger. During an audit, we will go to this transaction ID, get the hash, and compare it with whatever hash is recalculated. You can also head over to the confidential ledger created by the managed app and view the collection IDs and transaction IDs directly through the Ledger Explorer blade. Thanks for watching the demo.